Hey, welcome everybody to the Sharpe Way. It is Bernie time. Yes, it is. It's been weeks since I talked about the ways that we could actually get Bernie supporters to support us this year, and they can get some of the things they want without socialism and without government force. Yes, it is possible. If you have Bernie supporters in your life or former Bernie supporters in your life, they're disenchanted, unhappy with the Democratic Party, don't like Biden, we do have an alternative for them. They won't get everything they want, but they can get a lot of what they want, and they can get it from us without having to use force. That's the time. If you know some Bernie supporters, do me a favor, like, comment, share, get it out to them so that they can see this and bug me with questions or send me some stuff and say, hey, how can you possibly make that happen? Because there's someone this year who could probably help them out. Oh, yeah, it's Joe Jorgensen, J-O-J 2020, Joe Jorgensen for president, the good doctor. She can help us out to give them some of the things that they want. Now, with that in mind, feel free to help me out too. Get out there, like, comment, and share. Like my Sharpe Way Facebook page, like my Sharpe Way YouTube, and like my Sharpe Way Twitter. It matters. If you like, comment, and share and do those things, guess what? Algorithms, people watch, we begin to grow our media, and I want us to grow our media. It's really important. If you've got some cash, throw some my way, patreon.com/sharpeway, or even more important, JOJ2020.com. Not bad either. So either way, we're talking Bernie today. That's what I like. I like us talking Bernie today. It's really important. A couple things if I could. Liar for governor. Thank you. Maybe we'll see if that happens. Yes. And I do stay supportive. We have to make sure that we keep going. Today is not Angry Larry. That was yesterday. Some of you like Angry Larry. I know. Today is Happy Larry. I'm trying to get the Bernie supporters in. I'm trying to get the Bernie people in. We've got to try to make some impact. Some of them will come our way. And if they do, if they believe the way Roy believes, that all Americans are equal as Americans, we can actually make sure that we can get some real impact this year. I want to cover a couple of things. I've been going down, and I don't know if any of you have ever gone to Bernie Sanders' website. If you do, he has a lot of issues. I mean, it's almost rambling, and I really mean it's almost rambling. It's there's so many issues and so much stuff. It's just the fourth show. And I've listed the things I've talked about in each show and how I've tried to touch each of them. So I'm going down his plan the entire way, the whole way. And as I keep going, I'm trying to get down to every single piece. I think I'll need one more. And that's actually very funny, Amber. He does have a lot of issues. But it's rambling issues that overlap each other. I'm going to try to keep that going. So let me move to what he talks about. Bernie supporters care tremendously about fairness. This is a big deal. They care a lot about fairness. They care about fairness in taxation, fairness in the economy, fairness in healthcare, all of those things. They care about that. Now, for those of you who care, and Dan mentions how would a candidate or any libertarian guarantee healthcare to all citizens in America, also reworking the economy after the pandemic. After the pandemic is different. I can cover that. But if you want to go at the first one, if you look through my archives, Feeling the Burn, Can't Feel the Burn, part 1, I covered healthcare specifically. I dealt with that issue. I did. This is, again, number 7. There we go. Larry, one of my Bernie Bro friends, joined the LP recently. Thank you, Tyler. Helped immensely. There is a place for us here. So let me talk about the fairness piece and the fairness in taxation. Most libertarians simply want to end taxation. And in many cases, I hope we can. And any pieces that we can eliminate, we should. When I was running for governor in New York, I brought up the idea of ending the income tax, right? New York State has an income tax. Many states do. And I brought up the idea of ending the income tax, right? And the concept was over 4 years, we'd phase out the income tax because in New York State, it was $40 billion. Yes, that's larger than most state budgets complete. $40 billion we suck out of our New York State people in income tax. So I was going to phase it out over 4 years. That was my goal in New York. I just heard someone today, by the way, James Toller out of Kentucky, talking about a way of phasing out property taxes by starting with, if you're retired, you no longer pay 65 or older, you no longer pay any property tax. That's the beginnings. And then, of course, that would draw in more people to retire in Kentucky, bringing their pension and Social Security money in, increasing commerce. That will replace the property tax. So that was the concept. These are the ideas we could deal with. My idea was removing the income tax, which would keep businesses in New York and bring more to New York, again, increasing commerce, allowing us to end taxation. I want us to think about taxation in general. Income tax, which is a big deal for Bernie bros. Most Bernie people really want to hammer income tax and put it heavily on the rich, and they're all about income tax. I'm going to ask you a question, if I would. How many people here know the game Uno? Most people know that game. Good card game, simple game. How many people know Dungeons and Dragons? Some of you do, right? But you know, the Dungeons and Dragons is a very detailed game with books and all kind of stuff, right? Uno, simple. Uno is a simple game. By the way, I'm stealing this from my friend Alex Merced. He taught me this about 4 years ago, give or take, and I'm stealing it from him. Imagine the idea of Uno, right? Simple game. If I had a deck of Uno cards and I came into any open area that people were talking, a park, a bar, a club, something, and I said, hey, you want to play some Uno? Odds are people might go, yeah, sure, play some Uno. Fine. People can watch it. People like it. There's no need for a referee. The rules are simple, right? If you got a blue 3, you put a blue down or you put a 3 down. That's it. If someone's cheating, everyone knows. It's obvious who cheats. It's hard to cheat. You get caught by everybody. Simple game. Lots of people play. Dungeons and Dragons. Different game. Dungeons and Dragons now is a different game. You got books. You got to be smart. You got to know all the books. Whoever knows more gets ahead. There's a dungeon master who decides who's right and wrong. Not many people know it. People get confused. Not as many play. Don't get me wrong. I love Dungeons and Dragons. I'm just saying it's a tougher game. Less people play. More apt to cheat. People who know stuff get away with stuff, right? The people who know the rule books better get away with stuff, right? Rules lawyers. I really want our tax system to be a whole lot more like Uno and a whole lot less like D&D. I know that sounds crazy. Simplify taxation is the first step to eliminating taxation. Simplify, simplify. And yes, Tom, I was indeed a dungeon master, and I was the best dungeon master. Anyway, so yes, simplify, simplify, simplify. In any way, shape, or form. Some people talk about a fair tax. Some people talk about a flat tax. I'm okay conceptually with any of them, and so are most libertarians. Not all, but most are. They're okay because the tax system actually is D&D. Yes, the people who know more and have the dungeon masters pay less tax. The people who don't know don't play the game or don't even pay. Yes, simplified taxes. Yes, removes loopholes. Most people who are wealthy actually pay less in taxes by percentage than people who aren't because they find ways of getting around the loopholes. Could you imagine for a second, for the sake of argument, just for argument, could you imagine if you had a tax system that simply said everybody plays flat dollars, whatever that is. I'm sorry, flat percentage, 8%. I made the number up. That's what it is, 8% on whatever. That's it, 8%, 10%, 12%, whatever. The average American is paying over 30% in taxes, right? But the wealthy are paying less than 20. Big businesses, same thing. They're paying 0. I have a small business. It's paying more than 0, right? It's paying more than 0. If you make it simple, and I mean grossly simple, no loopholes, several things happen. Number one, more people will pay their taxes. Number one, people who don't pay taxes often don't know how to pay taxes. I'm not joking. They think it's too convoluted. They don't worry about it and they walk away. That's a serious problem in America. Just done. More people will pay taxes off the bat. Simple. So you raise revenue without raising anyone's taxes. Not just that, less loopholes. The wealthy will pay the same percentage as people who are middle class. Now, some people get upset and go, well, Larry, some people are scared. Okay, then we'll make a bottom, 30,000, 25,000, whatever. You don't pay taxes in the first 30,000 or whatever that number is. I'm happy to have something like that. It'll make people who are more on the left in that regard feel happier. Fine. Okay. I surrender for that one. Good. Take that. Because the advantages are so much more. Because there's something else that happens here. Once you've made a tax code simplified, not just for individuals, but also for companies, all of a sudden, lobbying is severely reduced. Because what most lobbyists are looking for is some type of tax break, tax loophole, tax abatement, something like that. That goes away. You've just cut lobbying down. You've taken some money out of government, out of campaigns. Boom, just like that. So make it simplified. Lobbying goes down. But even more important, it becomes transparent. We don't even know, in reality, if we're getting a tax break or not. Everyone always says, oh, this doesn't affect the middle class, and we don't know what that means. And what the tax actually says is something like, well, if you are if you're a right-handed violinist who plays with the left hand on a Thursday, and it's a full moon, and it's not a leap year, well, then that's 1%. Oh, but if it is a leap year, then that's 8%. I don't know what that means. And I don't care what hand you play your violin with. Can you even play a violin left-handed? I have no idea. Whatever. It's irrelevant. My point is it's so convoluted. But I'll go one step further. Imagine with a simplified tax code, why would you require a massive IRS? You don't need it. IRS, shrunk. How much money did you make? I made that amount. Times 0.08 or whatever is your tax. Boom, write a check. Done deal. Done deal. And not just that, let's let them actually, each person have to pay that tax. Write that check. Every single time, write a check. Because I want you to see how much money you're paying. Because when people actually see, man, I wrote a check for this amount of money. What am I getting for this? Wars I don't want, a war on drugs I don't want, bombing people. I don't like any of this. A spy state. Wow, I don't like this at all. Yeah, maybe you'll actually be active in your political world. Maybe you actually do something. Simplifying the tax code makes it fairer. If you're a Bernie supporter and you want fair taxation, I got you. I'm with you. The flatter the tax, the fairer the tax. The simpler the tax, the fairer the tax. And once you start that, once people see that, the problem is so many people don't know even. They have no idea. If you ask the average person, when did income tax start? They will assume there's always been income tax because they have no idea how to make that work. They have no idea how to make that work. They assume that the income tax has been on forever. No, 1913. Somehow we had a country before that. Not required, right? Not required. So Robert asked that, how do you handle the poor? Very regressive. Not if you have a cap, right? So say, for example, I'm just going to, Robert asked this issue, right? And it's a great question, right? Not if you have a cap, not if you say, and I'm making the number up, whatever that number is, say that the cap is 30,000. So if you make less than $30,000, you pay no tax. It's not regressive at all. Now, if you pay, say, 31, you only get taxed on a $1 and above. That's not regressive. That's fine, right? You make more money, you pay more tax. It's fine. Just percentage-wise. Not a problem at all. So you can do that to deal with that issue. It's totally possible to find the right number, right? You can do that. But the next issue is, I have people who say, no income tax. I got you, Ryan. Some people want that. We do too. However, since the average person doesn't get that, they don't get that at all. If we first simplify the tax code, income tax, simplify first, then people do it and write it and go, why am I doing that? I don't like this. They'll begin to see, and not just that, we'll know when they give us a tax hike. We'll know because it went from 8% to 8.5%. And they'll go, I don't want to pay the 8.5%. Oh my God, no, that's a terrible idea. Okay, great. Let's shift. Let's adjust. And at that point, maybe we can begin to talk about ending it. The problem is when it's not simplified, all we ever do is adjust and shift. We never even imagine ending. Ending isn't even part of. Have you heard any serious politician ever talk about ending the federal income tax? You don't hear them. maybe Ron Paul, about it. Almost no one else. Don't even talk about it. It's not even an issue. I'm saying simplify first and watch the rest happen. You have to get the culture to change. And I'm telling you, if you're a Bernie supporter, this is the fairest way. It's the fairest way. There isn't a fairer way than this. And I know if you're a Bernie supporter, you care about fairness. It's the fairest way. The idea of just punishing the top, here's the problem. Punishing the top and making the rich pay well, the millionaire's tax, I have some worry for you if you're a Bernie supporter. It has never worked ever. It doesn't work. Why? Because the wealthy control the government. So they always find loopholes and they don't pay the tax. That's how that works. When the tax rate was really high in the past, America has, they got their money other ways. So they actually didn't pay the tax. They actually paid the same amount, about 17%. When the tax rate was 90%, the wealthy paid about 18%, because they found other ways of getting money around because they're wealthy. They know how to get with the loopholes. So I know the idea of the many Bernie supporters is hammer them with a wealth tax. I get it. And it feels right. It does. It feels fair. I know it does. I'm telling you, in reality, it has never worked and will not work. I'm asking you to try this style first. It'll give you the fairness you're looking for. All right. That's the tax piece I wanted to bring up. And I hope that we get that. I hope we can understand that this can work well. This is the second piece I want to talk, next issue. And that is a safe foreign policy, right? What most Bernie supporters want to do, in many ways, overlaps what libertarians want. There's some exceptions, but as a general rule, most Bernie supporters want to end the foreign wars. So do we. On that, we are simpatico. We are right in line. Awesome. 100% we are in line. We're totally okay to do that. So first things first, end the wars. Bring the troops home. Absolutely. Bring the troops home. End the wars 100% and begin to chip away at the military-industrial complex. It is a massive issue. Now, most, believe it or not, of the Bernie bros actually don't want to end the military-industrial complex. Why? The military-industrial complex is a massive jobs program. That's what it is. The reason, we talk about foreign aid. It's a huge thing with foreign aid, right? We talk about foreign aid all the time, and you'll find many Bernie supporters say, well, we shouldn't give foreign aid to these bad countries, right? We should only give foreign aid to good countries who do good things and do good stuff. The reason why we give foreign aid, here's how foreign aid actually works when it comes to dollars, not food. We send food to countries, and that's nice. We send food. Fine. I'm talking about the dollars. We send, I'm making this number up, $100 billion to country X. Country X elite takes $10 billion off the top, puts in their pocket, takes $90 billion, and then decides, I'm going to buy weapons from America for $90 billion. So what happened? We just used taxpayer money to build weapons to send over there. It's a jobs program. That's what it winds up becoming. So many Bernie bros actually don't want to end that. They want to keep that. And I get that. I'm asking you, Bernie bros, when it comes to, Bernie supporters. I shouldn't say Bernie bros. I apologize. Bernie supporters. I'm asking you to realize that since it is a jobs program, we can fix this with a second aspect that we agree upon, which is talking to our enemies. Instead of doing blockades and trade wars against China and North Korea and Iran and Cuba, we begin to open up these countries instead for trade. As we open up these new markets, we begin to create jobs because there'll be specialists who need to know how these countries work, how it works to trade with them, what the people need, markets, etc., how it works. When we begin to build that out, that grows our economy, growing those jobs so that we can then end the foreign aid and stop the military-industrial complex, which is a massive jobs program. The people who are in that program will now go into other programs that will be private sector programs, trading with other countries. So if we do both, our foreign policy should be ending the wars immediately, bringing troops home, opening up trade with all our enemies, and I'm putting it in quotes because we don't actually have any. So now it's in quotes. That's our enemies. Now we start to trade with them. Now we see all of a sudden we're trading. That spurs commerce. We can begin to bring the military-industrial complex down. We don't require it anymore. The jobs program goes away as the private sector picks up all those jobs. So we can easily make that happen right away. Not just that. Start bringing the other troops home too, right? All of the bases we have, bring them home too. Bring them back, right? As we begin to bring those back, We don't have to keep all the reenlistments. We can make our military smaller and tighter and sharper. We can do all those things, right? The reality of it is we don't need to have a massive military at all. We don't. We can shrink our military and be very effective. A nuclear force, we have to have that for deterrent so people don't nuke us. Absolutely, of course. And I think most people would agree with that. Some Bernie supporters don't. I happen to believe that we do need to have some type of nuclear force so that we can deter others. 2, we have to have special forces. Lots and lots and lots of special forces, right? Someone like Osama bin Laden does something, we go in, take him out, punish him, and get out. That's it. We do that, and people start realizing that doesn't work. That's number 2. And 3, we got to have cyber ability, both attack and defense. That's all we need in today's modern world. That's all we need. Cyber, special forces, nuclear. We're done. It's all required. Nothing else is required for the United States to have. Those 3 should exist. They should be top of the line, highest quality of all 3, and we can do that easily. That we can do. Cutting our military budget tremendously. That's how we can shrink that easily. That's the foreign policy we want us to have. If we have more open trade, the next thing happens, transparency. Because one of the issues that many Bernie supporters are concerned about is human rights. I get that. I do. The problem is if we start concerning ourselves with human rights and having the government step in, the government only has 2 or 3 options. Option 1, right? Option 1 is we go to war with them, right? We invade. Option 2, trade embargo. We're not going to do anything with them until they change their policies. Or option 3, trade war. That's all we can really do. None are effective. Instead, we demand transparency. As we open ourselves for trade back and forth, here or there, back and forth, right? As we do that, well, what begins to happen? Well, obviously, as that begins to happen, we become more transparent. They become more transparent. Now we see what they're doing. And we as government can do what I have no problem doing with government as always is being a repository for information. Here is what the Chinese are doing. Here is how they're acting. And now we have the consumers decide and make changes. You may say, well, consumers, will they decide? They will. And I bring this example up often in New York State. In New York State, we have or had a thriving local beer industry. So people would go to a bar or a club or whatever, and they would easily drop $2 extra on a beer because they know that beer is a locally sourced beer. They care about that, and they'll drop $2 extra. Happy to do it. Many New Yorkers do that. Not all, but many would. Enough to where we had a thriving economy when it came to the brewery industry. So do that. Love that. Awesome. If we do the same thing with what China's doing, then the American consumer goes, you know what? Maybe I don't want to spend 25 cents for Chinese crayons at Walmart. I'll drop 50 cents for my kids' crayons instead of 25, and I'll get an American-made product. Or another country that we feel is not, violating human rights. Insert country here. Any of those. That begins to happen. When the Chinese don't get orders from Walmart anymore because consumers don't accept what they're doing, the Chinese will change. That's how it works. Now, is that a longer term? It is. It is a longer term solution, but it's also a permanent solution. Our consumers will train the rest of the world to do things the right way, or we won't reward them. That's how we deal with human rights. That's how we deal with the military industrial complex. That's how we deal with shrinking our military. That's how we deal ending our foreign wars. That's how we actually are able to increase our economy and commerce while still being able to defend ourselves. It's not crazy. It can be done. Absolutely. I hope that foreign policy, even though it may seem a little bit longer term for some Bernie people, and it doesn't include the government hammering people and punishing them, but it does include the government being transparent and calling people out and letting consumers know that this company, when you buy your crayons at Walmart, they're doing this. Make a decision. And if the American people say, I don't care if they do these, they use prison, labor to make crayons. I'm going to buy my crayons anyway. Then that's on us. Then we're saying we don't care. And that's on us. I hope that the American people will say, I'm not buying prison-made crayons. I'll drop the 50 cents instead of 25 cents. I hope they'll do it. I believe if we educate them, they will. And my example of this, again, is New York and its veganism. There's no law for people to become vegans, right? But having vegan food, generally speaking, is more expensive than non-vegan food, right? If you go back 20 years, hardly any vegan restaurants in New York City. Now, well, after COVID, there may be none again. But prior to COVID, there was one on like every block. No rules and regulations and laws, none of those. People decided on their own. They wanted to have that because they cared either about the body or the environment or whatever their reason was. They chose to do it. And they're spending extra money every day to eat because they decide so. I think Americans will do that. I really believe the Americans can do that. It can be done. So this is, I think, how we deal with the foreign policy. Next piece. I hope I covered taxes. Let me go through foreign policy real fast. There's a couple questions. Bio. You know, Ryan, I'm not sure about that. I think bio can be done privately. And I say that because as a general rule, we're not going to attack someone with a biological weapon. We're going to defend ourselves against one. So maybe bio could be military, or maybe actually it could be it could be civilian. I'm unsure, to be forward with you on that one. Maybe chemical. I don't want us using chemical weapons at all. But I do think maybe bio. I'm torn on that. My gut tells me that can be done in the private sector. So I'm torn on that one. So thank you for that. Let's see. Keto restaurants. Yeah, they're already coming up. They already have them. I forgot what's called. There's a couple of them already. Well, again, prior to COVID, a couple of them popped up already in Manhattan. Keto restaurants is a new thing, right? And people aren't being told. They don't have to. It just keeps happening. So, all right. Let me move on to the next one. The next one that Bernie people talk about is LGBTQ plus issues and equality. Again, as a general rule, we are simpatico on this one, right? General rule, we are. The Libertarian Party has been for things like marriage equality since 1972. The problem that we have is the LGBTQ plus community has felt so attacked for so long that they have become very aggressive towards anybody who isn't a Democrat. They become very aggressive towards them because they've been attacked for so long. And I get that. If I had been attacked for so long, I probably would feel the same way. I hope they'll be more open to us. We've actually changed our language, and I often use the phrase GSM, which is gender or sexual minorities, which is more inclusive, right? It's more inclusive. And I want to be more inclusive because the problem that we do have, and it's two pieces. GSM is more inclusive, but still says but it's more inclusive and also allows us to say anyone can be part of it and nobody is different. The problem with the LGBTQ is it actually says which one do you fit in. That's why you have to have a plus, right? GSM is a better term. But there's a second part to this, which is even though they make you trying to kind of fit into a piece, it's not monolithic. It just isn't. Lesbian issues aren't gay issues, aren't bisexual issues, aren't trans issues, aren't queer issues. They're different issues. Some overlap, don't get me wrong. There's an overlap, but they're not the same issues. The only party who's always been on board with everyone having the right to be whoever they are, everyone trying to, to be whoever they want to be, has been the Libertarian Party. The Democratic Party has been evolving on gay marriage and marriage equality for, 40 years. We weren't. But not just that. Once the Democratic Party gave in to marriage equality, they didn't give in to trans rights. So the right jumped on that, and the left jumped right on board. That's a problem. If we simply treat everyone the same, it doesn't matter if you're trans or gay or lesbian. It's irrelevant. Now, the first piece people are going to say is, well, you need to make them a protected class. Libertarians, myself included, do not like protected classes. I understand we don't like it. It makes people unhappy. I know that. But I want to be clear. The reason why we don't like the classes, and me in particular don't like it, is it makes people eventually second-class citizens. Because you never lose protected class status. It hasn't happened ever. And if you're always protected class, then you all become second-class citizens. But if you're more inclusive, no one is a second-class citizen because we're all second-class citizens. So we're all first-class citizens. That's how I want it to work. I know it sounds crazy, right? But see where I'm going with that. If we keep creating more protected classes, which is what we're doing, what's going to happen? What you're already seeing happen. A backlash from those who aren't protected. A backlash. I don't want a backlash. Backlash is hurt, right? Jim Crow laws were backlash from ending slavery. The war on drugs was backlash from ending Jim Crow laws, right? Each one is a backlash. The attack on trans bathrooms was backlash from marriage equality. We keep getting backlash. Let's just be more inclusive of everyone and allowing people to be who they want to be without us bothering them either way. And also by saying, I want you to be happy. And if your being happy doesn't bother me, life is good. So do I want protected classes? I don't. But would I accept everyone in the GSM community as a protected class? I would. Why? Because I can't say that Native Americans or African Americans are protected and then say Hispanic Americans aren't. I can't say gay Americans are, but trans aren't. I can't do that. So instead, I want to open it up to make almost everyone protected, in which case, no one is. We're all the same. This will take time. I know all of my issues take time. There's no quick fix. This is decades. Decades of pain, decades of problems, decades. It doesn't go away in 5 seconds. So we move it to where everyone's protected, then no one is because we're all the same. That's fair. That's fair. But there's something else. I get that many people in the GSM community have absolutely been punished, attacked, hurt. And I want to make sure that we at least acknowledge that. And in many cases, we haven't. And that's wrong. We should acknowledge that because of what we've done in law, we have hurt people. For example, gay men who couldn't get married had to adopt one another. Yes, it was the only way they could get rights. So you have a gay couple and one man has to adopt the other as a son. So legally they're father and son, yet they have a relationship. We made that happen. We made that happen. That's our fault. Not meaning me and you, but our laws made that happen. That should have never had to happen. That's the kind of punishment we've done to that community. And we should acknowledge it. At least to say, you know what, we screwed up. Sorry, right? We accept that we've done things to make things bad and say that. And you may think, does that really matter? It does. It does. People want to feel like people care about them. People want to feel accepted. People want to feel respected. So let's respect them and let's accept them as who they are, and we can then move forward. And we can find individual solutions for groups of people who need those solutions. And just the fact that we try to make a solution makes it better. Is there any way we can go back and break and unbreak what we've broken? No, can't. Can we make it better? Yeah, we can. Can we make it feel better? Yeah, we can. Let's do that. That's how we get people who support Bernie Sanders to come to us, by showing them that when it comes to the LGBTQ plus or GSM community, the gender and sexual minority community, that we do care, that we acknowledge that government hurt them, and that we care about them, and they have the right to be happy like anybody else. They have the right to be happy like anybody else, and to be married and be miserable like everybody else. They have that right if that's what they want to do. All right, let me grab a couple of these if I could. That's how we got apology calling for Native American. Yes, absolutely true. Yes, 100%. Let me grab a couple of these if I could. Yeah, they're not the same issues. They're different issues, right? And we should accept that too. We don't want to make it them, which is why once you go gender and sexual minorities, it becomes a whole lot broader. I like that tremendously. Now more people start getting involved, and it's not them anymore. Now it's somebody I know, or even better, us. I like us a lot. Yes, everyone's protected, and then we're good. I love that. Puerto 2024, maybe. Haven't said yes or no. I do appreciate the support. Yes. You know what, David? Not just out of the government shouldn't just be out of the bedroom. Should be out of all of our rooms. I would like it to be out of all of our rooms, particularly the bedroom, but all of them. Get out of all the rooms. Even better. So, Larry, please tell us the fast, easy answer. Yeah. Can't do that. Wish I could. I don't have that. Yes. Yes. Ian, I love you too. I love you too. I love you right back. Yes. We aren't responsible for those horrible laws. The government and supporters are. When you say we, suppose the collectivists wants to think, which is government is society. It's a great point, which is why I try to adjust the we, right? It really is government that's doing it. But sadly, like it or not, they do it in our name, right? I don't want to bomb people in the Middle East. They are bombing them in our name. And it's horrible, and our name gets tied to it. It does. All right. Let's see. Yes, take government out of marriage, 100%. See, David, you're right. We have to be able to show feelings, right? Democrats are great at rhetoric. You're right. Democratic rhetoric on these issues is great. Wonderful rhetoric. Actual doing it, terrible. They don't make things better. They like having that wedge issue, right? So that you have to go, see, if you don't support Democrats, you hate gay people. They like that. You're totally correct, David. If we show them our hearts and show them that we actually care, they can come to us. And I want everyone to. Absolutely. So, suicide due to mental stress is making people's lives and issues worse. I didn't even bring that aspect up, Tom. You're right. You know what? I just brought up that one issue that was specific to gay men, but there are many more that people not feeling adjusted, people not feeling accepted, people not feeling like they're part of their own community. Yeah. Look, the brain doesn't want to do two things. It doesn't want to die and it doesn't want to be embarrassed, and not always in that order. Right? So when we feel like we're not connected, when we're not around, we're not normal, whatever that is in our peer group, of course we feel terrible. Of course we feel less than. Of course we do. And I agree, Tom. More healing, brother. More healing. I'm in. If I can help heal, let's help heal. I'm there. Absolutely. So I hope that was good. I want to go to the next piece of it. I covered 3. I got to keep going down Bernie's list. He's got tons. Bernie has tons of issues, as you've said so clearly. Thank you so much. Yes. Disability, equality, disability support. This is one of the hardest ones. And the reason is that government has stepped in what I believe was an attempt to do the right thing. I do believe when government stepped in with things like the ADA, the Americans with Disability Act, I think that was that 92? I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was 90s, right? But when the government stepped in with the ADA, I think it was 92 or 91. I forgot when it was. But anyway, when the government stepped in, the goal I know was a good one. It was to help people with disabilities. And that is a wonderful goal. Totally think it was a wonderful goal. And I want that to happen. And we should try to help people with disabilities. The problem is when the government comes in, the government checks a box. That's it. The government says, oh, you're disabled. Then it puts you into a box. And in that box says, oh, you're disabled. So you receive X, Y, and Z services. They then give you those services and walk away and go, you're serviced. So we're good. What if those services don't work for you? What if you don't want those services? What if you want different services? What if your disability doesn't fit easily into a box? Disability is, again, nowhere near a monolith. Nowhere near a monolith. Are you a disabled child? Adult? Senior? Is your disability because you were born with that disability? Did you get it as you got older through some kind of accident or something like that? Or did you just get older and your disability is now something that happened from a disease? Is that what happened? All different. Is your disease mental, physical, both? Can you physically walk, work, not? So massive, so massive. And I look at this. I have an autistic child, not me, but in my family, right? In my family, I have an autistic child in my family. And the difference, actually, I shouldn't say that. She's not a child anymore. She's not a child anymore. When she was a child, and sometimes I still think of her as one. And that's, I just caught myself saying that. She's an adult now. But yes, I have some autistic in my family. And there is a massive difference between people who are on the spectrum. You have someone who has disability who, a big deal for them is to tie their shoe in the morning. And that's yeah. And someone else, a big deal is what job will they have or hold? Totally different, right? Both disabled in a totally different way. There is no specific box you can put people in. So instead of government stepping in and checking a box, if we really want fairness and equality when it comes to our disabled community, we have to shift ourselves into a community-based service, which is based upon our either disabled person or their loved ones satisfied and happy. Not that I check a box. And that may sound crazy, but if you have someone who's disabled in your life, you'll know what I mean. Again, one person, for the average person who has someone disabled, if they're young, child or something like that, all you care about as a parent or as a loved one is, are they getting better? That's it. Are they getting better? Are they advancing in some way? And again, depending on your disability that your loved one has, that's very vast on what getting better is. That's what you care about. But at one point, for most people who are disabled, there is no getting better at one point. In many cases, there's no getting better. Right? At one point, they move to a certain level and they're not going to get better. Just how it works. And either they're going to begin to lose, or you want them to just stay at this level. Again, different depending upon your disability, different depending upon the person you're with. So how can any government program check a box? Why do you think so many people who are disabled and on government programs are unhappy? So many lawsuits, people are unhappy all the time because of pigeonholing people, putting them in boxes, checking a box and saying, you got your services, shut up. But instead, and people joke, think I'm joking when I say this. Why don't we have a system to where literally either disabled person, or if that disabled person is so disabled they require some type of guardian, or that guardian are satisfied? You tell me with Yelp and everything else in the world, you can't have a system that grades people based upon, I'm happy that my kid now, kid A, has now learned to tie their shoe, and for my kid, that's amazing. Or my older adult who has another disability that they gained through a disease, they're not getting worse, not deteriorating. Oh my God, awesome, happy. I thought they would get worse and they're not. I'm in. This is great. And maybe I could instead deal with the way I want to deal with this. Now, I know some people in the Libertarian Party in New York specifically are worried about people living independently. And that's great. But maybe the person doesn't want to live independently. And maybe people do. And guess what? Both are the right answer. Both are. If you want to live independently, we should help you. If you don't, that's fine too. Your world, your life, you own it. Go the way you want to go. This is a system we have to create. So for you people who are Bernie supporters, and if you really want the disabled in our country, and there are many people disabled, both what you can see and what you can't see, both young, old, middle, deteriorating, not deteriorating, growing, all different types. It's not a monolith at all. This is more diverse than even our LGBTQ plus community. This is very diverse. We have to go to a system to where we're asking them or their guardians, are we satisfied? Is this working for me? Right? For some people who I know are going to deteriorate, they're older, maybe a disease. The question is, can I make them happy on their way out? And I know it sounds horrible, but I lost two parents, both my parents, to cancer. 2-year deaths. I want to make them as comfortable as I can. And people who have those issues, as comfortable as you can be. The highest quality of life that you want, whatever that is. This is how we work through this. By transitioning off of government programs that check boxes and transitioning in to supported civilian, right? Those types that are talked about whether they're doing their job right or not. That's the issue. If they're funded by government, they will get their money not by their success rate. They will get their money based on that they check the appropriate government boxes. Those of you who've dealt with government organizations or nonprofits that are sponsored by the government, You know exactly what I'm talking about. But nonprofits that are not sponsored by the government, what do they always show you whenever they go to one of their galas to raise money? They show you happy people, successful people. This person did something great. And depending upon the person, it can be very different. This is a critical piece. The goal is to get that monolith off, support the secondary private and nonprofit models, support them as they grow, put in a system that rates them. And again, I'm okay with the government being that central repository. Again, you'll hear me say it often. Let government be a central repository. That the government says, I keep all the ratings. You want to know which ones are working? Click on our website. And maybe the government charges you for that. $2, $3, $5, I don't know, whatever it is. I'm okay with that. A small minor fee. Boom. Or maybe the companies pay the government for that. I don't care. Whatever. You decide. I'm fine either way. But no taxes. That's my only issue. No taxes. And now it's a repository. And you can go there and go, oh, I don't want to go to that one. These guys are terrible. Oh, these guys are doing great. Oh, my issues are this, this, and this. And they deal with these. That's exactly what I want. Oh, what I want for my loved one. I want my loved one to be in an institution. I think it's better for him or her. Or no, I want them to live on their own. It's better for him or her. Boom, we move through. This is what we have to transition to. Government can be a central repository. We move this and things will begin to change. There will be specialties, and that's the issue. All right, let me see if I can grab a couple of these questions. There's a lot of questions here. Let's see here if I can find this. I have MS, slowly taking my body, and the service is available. So, yeah, Corey, I'm sorry. I have a couple of friends who also have MS, and for them it was a shock. It wasn't their family. They had no idea, and it was shocking for them. They just were shocked that they actually had MS. And yes, your body, those who know, it slowly deteriorates. It does. And the services available are services. But I would ask you, Corey, imagine if instead of having services, you were able to go to a nonprofit that's specialized in people who have MS. What would happen? You wouldn't have to worry about services. They would know how to handle you. They'd have a rating system. You'd know what things you want, what you care about, what you're trying to achieve in your life today, what's going to make you happy, and either deteriorate slower, or maybe even have the option of trying new ideas, new medicines, new therapies. The government's not involved. You have the option of trying new things if you want to. Maybe they work, maybe they don't, but it's your life, and you get to pick. It doesn't work. Right now, what do you get? The service is available. Thank you, Corey, for sharing that. I appreciate that. But it's exactly what I was talking about. Exactly correct. All right. Unseen disabilities. Absolutely. People have autism. Sure. The autistic spectrum, David, thank you for sharing that. It's massively wide, right? You have people on a spectrum who very light, maybe sometimes have some issues getting some cues here or there. And you have people who literally are unable to communicate, and everything in between. 100%. Thank you, David, for that. Exactly. So wouldn't it be better if you were going to get help, that it was someplace that understood where you were on the spectrum and what you wanted to achieve? 100%. Yes. Very complex. 100%. New York State government's about pigeonholing, not just New York State. All government is. All are. 100%. Many libertarian memes and marketing lately talk about ending this government department and agency. Do we hurt ourselves when government employees, voters see us advertising getting rid of their jobs? Yeah. Yes, I think we do. I don't mind us being open saying in the long run, we want it to go away. But when you start telling people I'm ending your job, they tend not to vote for you. Ask Hillary Clinton and how she tried to tell the coal miners that she's ending their jobs. They didn't like that. Absolutely. I have traumatic brain injury. Yes. I haven't needed any help until recent years. Sometimes they come back. You're right, Shelley, right? And why would you need services in 1972 or 1980 if it's not affecting you? And then you might need them now. But you won't need services. You'll need to deal with this the way you want to deal with it, right? What if you want to retire and sit back and chill, and that's what you want to do? Different than if you go, you know what? I want to go back to work. I'm going to go back to work and deal with stuff. Those are different services you would require depending upon where you want to go in your life. Absolutely. I'm disabled with post-polio syndrome. I'm surprised how many people I've heard that. Got polio at age 18 months. Never thought of myself disabled until an employee said they could get a tax break for registered. Yes. Yeah. There's your other piece, right? Tax break because you hire. Now the government allows businesses to check a box. Wow. Exactly. But Rory, again, I'm sure not everyone who has post-polio syndrome has the same issues or concerns that you might have. They're different. How did it affect them? How old were they when it affected them? All those things. Absolutely. Yes. So I talked about how I would handle Corona a while ago. I'm happy to cover that again in another talk, maybe at the end. I would deal with that. But I did talk about it before. Generally speaking, as a general rule, it's closer to the Sweden model than it is our model. All right. As a member of a family advocacy group for the disabled, folks of the ARC, diversification of clients is what I advocate. Yes, 100%. Even I know ARC, even ARC, right? Wide, not this, very wide. Absolutely. Indeed, Sharpenator. That would be me, 100%. So let's see if I can get down here. All right. I started following you from JRE. Thank you. Joe Rogan was very popular. Thank you. Your name got me to tune in your thoughts, kept me watching. Keep it up. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Please don't stop. Absolutely. Good. Thank you, Corey. Thank you. All righty. So I covered that one. Let me move to the last piece that's on his not the last one for tonight. That's on his website, and that is supporting Puerto Rico. I do think we should be supporting Puerto Rico. They are Americans. Puerto Ricans are Americans. They are one of our territories. We have many territories. Is it 4 or 5 of them now? Right? I think it's Guam, U.S. Virgin Islands, American Samoa, Puerto Rico, and I think there's another. I've actually forgotten how many we have. We have a couple of them. It's time for us to deal with our territories. And this may make some people unhappy. We should deal with our territories. Why do we still have an empire? Why do we still have an empire? We're supposed to be a democracy and a free democracy. Why do we have an empire? We literally have aspects of our nation that have taxation without representation. Why? So there are a couple things to do. In the next couple of years, we should be looking at all of our territories and have to make a decision. Are you in or out? Are you in or are you out? Become a state or don't. Are you in or are you out? We have to start doing that. Now that may sound harsh, but we should not have an empire. We should not have an empire at all. It's a bad idea. In my view, it's embarrassing that we have territories. We're gonna put bases on them instead of invading people. Stop. Not required. Are you in? Are you out? If they want in, let's find a way to get them in. If we're out, let's wait to transition them out. Fine. We did it with Okinawa. We gave Okinawa to the Japanese. The Okinawan people literally voted. They voted to be independent, to stay in American territory. Or was it 1970? I forgot when it was. I think it was the late 60s or early 70s. The Okinawan people voted. And they voted to either stay in American territory, become an independent country, or join Japan. They decided to join Japan. Japan took them. We walked away. They literally, overnight, because the Japanese drive on the opposite side of the road of us, change the road signs over. Boop, you're now Japanese. Done deal. Fine. They said so. I'm okay with that. So let's talk to the Puerto Ricans. Make a choice. Yes or no. You're a state or you're not. You're not, you're independent. Life is good. Good luck. You're not, you're one of us. Change the flag, 51 stars. Guam, all of them. You want to mix them together, make Guam and American Samoa one? I don't really care how you do it. I really don't care how you do it. That's not that important. There are regulations and rules in our constitution to make a state. It's fine. Use that. Don't care. The question is, I want us to stop having an empire, make them decide or not, and then we support them like we support any other state. If our states need help, we support them. With that in mind, get rid of the Jones Act. Oh my God. You want to help Puerto Rico? End the Jones Act. For those who don't know what the Jones Act is, the Jones Act says that every ship that comes into port has to be American crewed and American owned. And wow, is that stupid? That's World War II stuff that we should have ended, I don't know how many years ago. We should have ended. I'm not sure we should have ever done it. But even if we did it, let's end that stuff literally just, I don't know, 50 years ago, 70 years ago, we should have ended it. And we didn't. Let's end that today. You want to make the Puerto Ricans have a better life? Allow them to be the port they should be. Allow them to be the commercial center they should be. Allow them to be the tourist spot that they should be. End the Jones Act. American Samoa has that issue. So does Guam. All these things. End the Jones Act. Let them be the commerce hubs and or the tourist hubs that they want to be and they can be. We will help them tremendously. We do that, everything begins to change. Taxation without representation is a bad idea. The Jones Act is a bad idea. Let's get these countries, these territories to either be states or not, and let's support our states as the American Constitution tells us that we should. We do that. We've dealt with Puerto Rico also. I think I covered most of these things. He has got a couple more that he talks about. I guess I will move on to one more since I have some time. I'll move on to one more. Let me first grab some comments and then I'll move on to those. All right. Let's see here. Thank you, Missy. I responded to Corona in that case on March 16th, 2020. Please, Daniel, you can check that out. You can figure that one out. Yes. And yes, see, if we get more states, the flag makers make money. Look at me, Larry Sharpe, all about commerce. There we go. All about commerce. How do I feel about splitting upstate and downstate New York? I don't think it's going to happen, as I said before, because I believe without question the ties are too close. So why don't we instead go to localism, home rule? And I think we do that. If New York City and or Albany didn't run the entire state, you wouldn't care. You'd be like, oh, great, Albany, good luck. Oh, great, New York City, good luck. You wouldn't care. Let's move more towards that. All right. So Jamaica. No, I'm pretty sure Jamaica is its own country. Not that's its own country. Yes. Let's make American Samoa citizens first. They're only nationals. Oh, I didn't even know that. Is that true? American Samoans aren't citizens? That's new to me. I assumed American Samoans were citizens. They're just nationals. What the hell is that? Wow, that's a bad idea. I hope that's wrong. I hope you're wrong, William. I have a feeling you're right. But I hope you're wrong because now that makes me feel even worse about it, right? So let's not do that. That's a terrible idea. All right, so let me move, if I could, to legalizing cannabis. This is another piece that many Bernie people want. I do too. I absolutely believe that cannabis should be legalized. And the problem is if we start doing that where we just go to legalization the way most states have done it, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. That's the problem. You find that legalizing marijuana as a general cannabis, as general rule, creates big business. I don't want to create more big business. That's not how we're going to grow this country. That's not how we're going to grow this nation. It's not how we're going to grow our states, our farmers, our farmland. It's a bad idea. I want to shift, like I talked about in New York State, and you Bernie people should love this idea. Number one issue, remove cannabis from Schedule 1. First step, remove it. That's number one. Day one, cannabis comes off Schedule 1. Number one. Once that's done, okay, now people can do things like research cannabis in the United States. Great. Then accept that cannabis is a plant. In which case, let's regulate it like a plant. That's it. In New York, I talked about regulating like onions. They did it in California, regulate like wine. I would take wine, but I don't really want wine. I would much rather have it not being wine. I'd much rather have it like onions or tomatoes or, I don't know, carrots, insert thing here. Do it like that with one caveat. You're unable to purchase any cannabis products at retail unless you're 18 or older. That's it. That's the only thing. Everything else, it's just like a plant. But you may not purchase it from retail store outlet unless you're 18 years or older. That's it. Otherwise, you're fine. Just use it. What that would do is it would create massive cash crops for small businesses, right? That's it. Massive cash crops for small farmers and small businesses, keeping the cronies out. No need for special licensing. When you create special licensing, you are literally attacking small business owners. You are attacking poor people. You are attacking brown, black, immigrant communities. That's what licensing does. It destroys and hurts the small guy or gal trying to make the next step. Cannabis should be regulated like, I'm not joking, like a plant, like a vegetable. You pick the vegetable, I'm fine with it. Pick the vegetable, whatever that is. I like the onions, but you pick. And then one caveat, 18 years or older to purchase at retail some kind of product. That's all. You do that, you wind up helping small businesses, small farmers, retail people start creating individual cool cash crops and craft grows, and everything begins to explode. And big business has to now fight against that. Innovation spurs. When you have monopolies in big business, innovation goes down. Small business innovation goes up. You'll find better products to keep everybody happy. I really hope that we get that idea. Look, if you're a Bernie supporter or you know a Bernie supporter, do me a favor. Share this. It really matters. I need those people who are unhappy to realize they have a way to come here. If you like what I'm saying, show them this. Head to my Facebook page, like that. Head over to my YouTube page, click on that, subscribe. Head over to my Twitter, click on that too. People need to hear this, and if you think so, then don't stop. And of course, if you want to support me, patreon.com/sharpeway. $5 a month is fine, keeps us going. If you got more money, give me more if you got more. If you're in a good spot, throw 10, 20. If you're like one of those wealthy, rich people who just happens to like watching me on Sharpe Way, throw me $500 a month if you got that kind of money. I hope you all do. But it's okay, $5 will do. Or if you don't have that, no worries. Like, comment, and share. It does matter. Let me grab a couple if I can, a couple of these. It's a travesty, people living on American territories, not citizens. Yes, I think it should be corrected. I agree with you, William. I didn't even know that was true. You taught me something today. It is terrible. I think it's a horrible thing that we're doing. It's terrible. All right. What about other drugs, cocaine and heroin? Shouldn't we have laws be such that it's a medical issue rather than a criminal issue? Yes, absolutely. I was only bringing up cannabis because that's specific to the Bernie website. He only mentions marijuana, and this is a Bernie show. So, David, you're correct. I'm just saying I'm only covering Bernie issues, but you are correct. Yes, I was trying to do the Bernie issues. I get my cannabis from my guy still. Yeah, and that was a joke that people mentioned when I was running, and it was if you like your dealer, keep your dealer. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Regulating plants is silly. I agree. This is the idea I bring up often. Very often. And that is people in the liberty movement will often try to say, we have to be, very hardcore and be very radical. And we have to always be that way. It's not true. You can be that way. And some people will hear that message. There is value in a radical or audacious message because some people will hear that. Absolutely. When it comes to the masses, that's almost never true. When it comes to the masses, and when the masses, what I mean by that is I'm trying to get votes, right? I'm trying to get votes from the masses. What almost always happens, you follow how the market works. In the market, when you want a product to really do well, it has to be radical enough to be different, but familiar enough that they can accept it, right? That combo. And if you get it perfectly right, and most products don't, I tried when I was running through New York. I obviously didn't get it good enough. You try. If you get it perfectly right, people begin to adopt it. Early adopters start, and then everyone else just jumps on board, right? That's what often happens if you can do it just right. The reason why I like to regulate like onions is because it was familiar enough. Regulate, okay. But like onions, oh, that's kind of radical, isn't it? Yeah, but I like onions, so okay. So that's why, right? Onions and most plants are very lightly regulated. Most are very lightly regulated. That's the point. We're regulating it, but not really. But if I just said, just let everyone have cannabis, what does the average American think? Oh my God, that means 5-year-olds are going to be getting high and having car accidents by smoking wacky weed. That's what they're going to think. How do I know that? Because most states still don't have even legal medical cannabis. New York State doesn't have legal recreational cannabis. I still had Bloomberg running for office saying, well, the science is still out. Yeah, it's obvious that the average American doesn't even get it. So you might say regulating plants is silly. Well, the American people who don't get it, kind of silly too. So since I need them to vote for us, I'm going to speak in a language that they can hear. I want to speak in a language that they can hear so they can vote for us because I want votes. And if you're thinking about who to vote for, I know somebody. Her name is Jo Jorgensen. She's running for president as a libertarian. And you can go to joj2020.com if you want to look at what she's talking about and vote for her. You can do that if you want to. I think I'm going to. I am. I'm just saying I'm looking at her too. And if you're a Bernie supporter, maybe you want to talk to her and see what she has to say. So that might help. So anyway, guys, I want to say thank you so much. This is the 4th show dealing with Bernie. So much I know. I actually have one more. I may go 5 shows because as we mentioned earlier, Bernie has a lot of issues. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.